In the shadows of ancient Florence, a man named Niccolò Machiavelli understood something that very few dared to speak aloud. Not just about politics or power, but about human nature, and yes, even about women. His philosophies weren't meant to be warm or romantic. They were cold, sharp, and devastatingly accurate. They spoke to the undercurrent of desire, manipulation, power, and strategy that drives so much of human behavior, even in love. This isn't a love story. This is a wake-up call. Most men live their entire lives under illusions about women. They want to believe in innocence, in purity, in the fantasy of a good girl who will never betray them, never test them, never leave them. But Machiavelli knew better. And if you truly want to understand women, and most importantly, understand yourself, you need to see through the lies. Let's dive deep into the 5 forbidden truths about women that most men will never learn, all through the brutal lens of Machiavellian philosophy. 1. Women are attracted to power, not intentions. Machiavelli once said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." This applies to everything, but especially attraction. Most men believe that their intentions matter more than their results. They believe that being nice, respectful, and kind should be enough to win a woman's heart. But Machiavelli reminds us, intentions are irrelevant in the real world. What matters is what works. Women don't fall in love with your kindness. They fall in love with your strength. They might admire your honesty, your gentleness, even your dreams, but they're attracted to your dominance, your ability to lead, to conquer, to stand tall when others bend. The truth is, evolution has programmed women to seek power, not necessarily political or financial, but psychological, emotional, and physical presence. You can have the best heart in the world, but if you're weak, if you hesitate, if you doubt, if you fear your own masculinity, she will never feel the visceral pull of attraction. The man who walks into a room and commands attention without saying a word, that's Machiavellian. That's what women desire, even if they deny it. 2. Female loyalty is conditional, not eternal. We've been sold a lie that love is unconditional and that a good woman will stay no matter what. But Machiavelli, in his cold brilliance, tells us otherwise. It is much safer to be feared than loved when one of the two must be lacking. Fear here does not mean abuse or terror. It means respect, reverence, the understanding that your presence is not to be taken lightly. And when it comes to loyalty, the harsh truth is this. A woman is only as loyal as her emotional needs are being met. That doesn't make her evil. It makes her human. Women are biologically and psychologically wired for security and emotional fulfillment. When a man stops providing either of those, when he becomes weak, complacent, or emotionally unavailable, she will slowly drift. First emotionally, then physically. Many men stay in toxic relationships because they believe love is eternal. But love, as Machiavelli knew, is a political tool, a means to an end. You must constantly maintain the power dynamic in a relationship to keep her loyalty, not through domination, but through value. By constantly becoming more disciplined, more ambitious, more emotionally composed. The moment she senses you are no longer the man she admired, she begins to detach. Not because she's cruel, but because her biology compels her to seek strength. 3. Women test men constantly. It's a survival mechanism. Machiavelli believed that people, by nature, are fickle, deceptive, and self-interested. Women are no exception. And one of the most misunderstood truths about women is that they will test you again and again, not to destroy you, but to confirm if you're the man they believe you are. This is not manipulation. This is biological vetting. Every snide remark, every irrational argument, every emotional roller coaster, it's not about the surface issue. It's a test, a probe into your core to see if you remain grounded or if you break. Women subconsciously seek to confirm your masculinity not by your charm, but by your emotional control under pressure. If you crumble, if you lash out, if you seek validation or reassurance, you fail the test. If you stay composed, unshaken, and even amused, you rise in her eyes. Machiavelli would say, men ought either to be well treated or crushed. That's exactly what these tests are. You will either be deemed worthy and respected, or seen as weak and discarded. Your task is to pass these tests silently, not by arguing, not by explaining, but by being, by standing so firm in your own principles that nothing she throws at you moves your center. For women are strategic, emotionally and socially. There's a myth that men are logical and women are emotional. But that's not the full truth. In reality, women are highly strategic, especially with emotions. Machiavelli taught that manipulation was not immoral, it was necessary. He would argue that women are not inherently manipulative, but instinctually strategic. They have had to be, for thousands of years, to survive in male-dominated societies. Their tools? Subtlety, emotion, intuition, and social dynamics. Women can read microexpressions. They can sense shifts in energy. They understand hierarchy, not just in words, but in vibe. Most men walk into a room oblivious. A woman walks in and instantly understands who holds the social power, who's faking it, and who's genuine. She'll use silence to create tension. She'll use compliments to disarm. She'll cry not just because she's sad, but because she subconsciously knows it shifts the power dynamic in her favor. This is not evil, it's genius. If you want to thrive in relationships, you must respect her strategic mind. Not fear it, not resent it, but understand that if you want to lead, you must be even more grounded, more aware, and more strategic than she is. A king does not resent the cleverness of his queen. He learns to match it. 5. Women respect power, but they love mystery. Perhaps the most forbidden truth of all, you don't need to be understood to be loved. In fact, sometimes being too emotionally available, too open, too vulnerable kills attraction. Machiavelli said, "A prudent man should always follow in the path trodden by great men and imitate those who have been supreme." And what do the great men have in common? Mystery. There is something irresistible about a man who keeps part of himself hidden. Not because he's playing games, but because he's too focused on his mission to explain himself. He lets his silence speak. His absence become presence. His distance breeds desire. Most men give everything away. They tell their life story on the first date. They over-explain, overshare, and over-pursue. But the man who doesn't need to be seen, who walks in shadow, with quiet purpose, is the man she can't stop thinking about. He becomes a riddle her mind can't solve, and that drives her mad with fascination. Machiavellian wisdom teaches us, control perception. Let them wonder. Let them fill in the blanks. Because once they believe they know you, the spell breaks. Final thoughts. The Machiavellian renaissance of the modern man. This isn't about hating women. It's about understanding them. It's about rising above the lies society tells men. That if you're nice enough, open enough, vulnerable enough, she'll stay. No, she'll stay if you are valuable. If you have direction, discipline, and a calm storm inside you that she feels but cannot define. She'll stay if you're a challenge, a man not easily tamed. Machiavelli didn't teach men to be evil. He taught men to be wise, to see human nature not as we wish it to be, but as it is, and in love, as in life. Those who win are not the kindest, but the most aware. So become aware. Become deliberate. Become dangerous in your self-control. The forbidden truths aren't meant to scare you. They're meant to free you. Because once you understand the game, you no longer have to fear losing. You become the prize.